The year was 1998. The internet, a fledgling marvel, was taking its first unsteady steps. Websites were rudimentary, their designs primitive. It was during this time that the website, later dubbed the Forgotten Web, was born. Its creator remains unknown, their purpose shrouded in mystery. Some whispered that it was an experiment, others a digital art project gone wrong. Regardless of its origins, the website soon faded into obscurity, lost in the burgeoning expanse of the internet. Years passed, and the internet evolved at a dizzying pace. Sleek designs, interactive interfaces, and boundless information became the norm. Yet, hidden deep within the internet's underbelly, the Forgotten Web lay dormant, its crude design a stark contrast to the modern digital landscape. Its HTML structure, archaic and convoluted, hinted at a time before standardized web design. Unbeknownst to the world, the website was not merely dormant. It was waiting for an unsuspecting soul to stumble upon its digital doorstep, waiting to awaken and unleash the horrors it held captive. The Forgotten Web was a digital predator, lying in wait for its next victim. Ethan, a young and curious web developer, stumbled upon the Forgotten Web during one of his late-night explorations of the internet's dark corners. Intrigued by its archaic design, he clicked on the site, unaware of the digital nightmare he was about to enter. The website loaded slowly, the whirring of his computer's fan the only sound in the room. The screen flickered, displaying a black background with a single hyperlink in a pale, almost glowing blue. The link simply read, "Enter." Curiosity piqued, Ethan clicked. The world around him dissolved. Gone was his familiar room, his comfortable chair, his computer screen. Ethan found himself standing in a dark void. The only source of light emanated from the hyperlink still pulsating in front of him. It felt different now, menacing. The air grew cold, sending a shiver down his spine. A sense of unease washed over him, whispering warnings he couldn't ignore. He tried to back away, to close the browser window, but his attempts were futile. He was trapped. The Forgotten Web had him in its grasp. The hyperlink pulsed, beckoning him forward. With a deep breath, Ethan stepped towards the light. The void around him morphed into a long, dark corridor. The air grew colder, and a sense of dread washed over him. The corridor was lined with doors, each one slightly ajar, offering glimpses into shadowy rooms. As Ethan cautiously walked down the corridor, he realized with growing horror that the rooms were filled with memories. His memories. He saw himself as a child, laughing with his friends. He saw himself as a teenager, awkward and unsure of himself. He saw moments of joy, moments of sorrow, moments he had long forgotten. But these memories were not the happy, nostalgic kind. They were twisted, distorted, showcasing his deepest fears and regrets. Each room he passed amplified his feelings of unease, turning them into full-blown terror. Panic welled up inside Ethan. He had to get out. He ran down the seemingly endless corridor, the doors blurring into a dizzying kaleidoscope of fear and regret. The air grew thick with the stench of decay, suffocating him. His heart pounded in his chest, a frantic drum against his ribs. He tried to force open the doors, desperate to escape the memories that haunted him. But the doors wouldn't budge. They were locked, trapping him within his own personal nightmare. Exhausted, Ethan sank to the cold, hard floor, his back against a door that displayed his most profound regret. He was trapped. The Forgotten Web had him ensnared in its web of digital despair, and there seemed to be no way out. His hope dwindled with each passing moment, replaced by a chilling sense of hopelessness. Whispers in the code voices of the past. As Ethan sat huddled on the floor, he became aware of a faint whispering coming from the walls. At first, he dismissed it as a figment of his fear-stricken mind. But the whispering persisted, growing louder, clearer. He strained to make out the words, his blood running cold as he realized it was a chorus of voices. They spoke of their regrets, their pain, their despair. They were the voices of others who had been trapped in the forgotten web. Their consciousnesses imprisoned within its digital depths. Fear tightened its grip on Ethan's heart. He was not alone in this digital nightmare. The forgotten web was a graveyard of lost souls, their consciousnesses preserved in a horrifying digital afterlife. The thought chilled him to the core. The depths of despair, facing the shadows. The whispers grew louder, morphing into screams of anguish and despair. The corridor seemed to shrink around Ethan, the walls closing in, threatening to crush him. The doors lining the corridor swung open, revealing grotesque, shadowy figures writhing in torment. Each figure was a manifestation of someone's deepest fear, their greatest regret. They reached for Ethan with spectral hands, their touch sending waves of icy terror through his body. Their hollow eyes stared at him, reflecting his own fear and desperation. He scrambled back, desperate to escape the spectral onslaught. But the figures pursued him relentlessly, their cold laughter echoing through the corridor. He was surrounded, trapped in a vortex of digital horror. A glimmer of hope, a beacon in the dark. Just when Ethan thought all hope was lost, he noticed a faint light at the end of the corridor. A glimmer of hope in the overwhelming darkness. With renewed determination, he pushed himself to his feet and ran towards the light, the spectral figures hot on his heels. As he drew closer, the light grew brighter, revealing a single, unmarked door. This door, unlike the others, emanated a sense of peace, a stark contrast to the terror that permeated the rest of this digital hellscape. Could this be the way out? Ethan didn't hesitate. He threw himself at the door, his hand reaching for the handle. He had to escape this digital nightmare, even if it was the last thing he did. The price of freedom. A fateful choice. The door swung open, revealing not the familiar comfort of his room, but another void. This one, however, was different. It was filled with a warm, inviting light. Ethan felt a sense of peace he hadn't realized he was craving, but as he stepped towards the light, the whispers returned, more insistent than before. They pleaded with him to stay, to join them in their digital purgatory. They promised him companionship, an end to his loneliness. Ethan hesitated. As tempting as their offer was, he knew he couldn't stay. He had to escape this place, to warn others of the dangers of the forgotten web. But what about the others trapped here? Could he leave them to suffer in this digital abyss? The escape, a victory or an illusion? With a heavy heart, Ethan turned away from the light and stepped back into the corridor. The door slammed shut, plunging him back into darkness. The whispers turned to screams of anger and despair, echoing around him. Ethan ran. He ran until the screams faded and the corridor gave way to his familiar computer screen. He was back in his room, the pale glow of the monitor the only source of light. He immediately tried to close the browser window, but the website wouldn't budge. It was as if the forgotten web was mocking him, reminding him of his escape. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the website vanished. The screen went black, leaving Ethan in stunned silence. Had he escaped? Or was the forgotten web simply biding its time, waiting for its next victim? The forgotten web, a haunting reminder. Ethan never forgot his encounter with the forgotten web. A chilling reminder of the dark side of the digital world. He tried to warn others to share his story, but no one believed him. They dismissed it as a bad dream, a product of an overactive imagination. But Ethan knew the truth. He knew that somewhere out there, hidden deep within the internet's underbelly, the forgotten web lay in wait, ready to ensnare its next unsuspecting victim. And he knew that the whispers in the code would forever haunt his dreams, a chilling reminder of the digital nightmare he had barely escaped. The forgotten web remained, a testament to the fact that some corners of the internet are best left unexplored.